Good afternoon, everybody. Tracy Spiaggia with Slingshot Health Coaching. I am a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner and brain health specialist working with individuals and ideally families who struggle with mental health challenges. What I add to this really important conversation is a unique piece in that we do a deep dive into that person's entire life story, mining for potential triggers and looking for common threads that will lead us to answering the question, how in the world did this person end up in this situation where they're suffering to the extent that they are. And then we craft a very unique, customized plan, not just for the person, but ideally for the entire family to get involved and to not only support their loved one who's struggling, but really level up the way the entire home is living in terms of diet, sleep, movement, thought life, communication, really just kind of leaning heavily into adding communication skills so relationships can blossom, and discovering the uniqueness of each person in that family in both, in body, mind, and in spirit, so that all the needs are met. And then typically those symptoms will alleviate because they've been met in a very holistic way. My office is in Frenchtown. I see people both in person and virtually. And yeah, that's me.
Excellent. And next up, we have Tracy.
That was so fabulous, Jen. This isn't the first time I've heard you present on the center and the wonderful work that you're all doing. And I have to tell you, like, my blood pressure goes up from joy. Like, it's just so beautiful what you're doing. And truthfully, it's very, very similar to the work that I do in my practice but the one piece that's unique is the attention and really deep dive into the biology of the person to help to help support them on a foundational level in terms of these biological necessities in order for us to heal. So you referenced the ACE study. That's one of the assessments in my intake work every time a new client signs up. And I also lean into the results of that test to know, okay, how likely is this person in front of me, be it a tween, a teen, a young adult, or a full-blown adult, how likely, based on that study, are they to wrestle with physical ailment as a result of trauma being stuck in the body? I mean, the truth is all of us so far are all really, I see us as helpers and healers on an assembly line in this life where, people who are suffering can make stops all along the way. There's room and proper place for all of us in the work that we do. And it's so symbiotic and it's so holistically beautiful. So I would come in and, support that person, helping them understand. If we help people understand the why, instead of just giving a prescription per se, like, oh, you need to eat this diet, you need these many hours of sleep, you need this many minutes of movement. That's so authoritative, number one, which automatically, I believe, puts most people in a very defensive posture. Nobody likes to be told what to do. Instead, we like partnership and we like to maybe engage in new, scarier activities with somebody. So if you're an athlete and you're training for your sport, the coach doesn't, well, it depends on the coach, I would assume. I think a talented coach would edify and build up that player and build up their skills and hopefully have the skills themselves and say, I used to play, let me show you this technique, let me show you this movement. It's very similar where I stand alongside the people I work with, even inside my kitchen. I've just recently added family kitchen time and recipe preparation that are anti-inflammatory. So when you talk about working with clients who have myofascial restriction, or you're talking about trauma in centers like yours, Jen, their biology needs support in order for those detox pathways to open up, for intercellular nutrition levels to rise and to be held not just at RDA levels, which really indicate the presence of nutrition deficient driven disease or not. We're talking about what is termed functional levels, which mean optimal. The term functional is the space that I occupy in my practice. And it's not just necessarily bringing somebody to that baseline of you're alive, you're not dead. It's so much more than that. It's coming around them and helping them understand the interconnectedness between what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, the bitterness and anger you hold on to, how you relate to others, your ability to communicate, your passion at your work, your opportunities to be creative and expressive in the world, friendships that come and can you let them go? All of these things that make us human, right? It's what makes us human. So that's what is unique about the work that I do is there are, thank God, plenty of spaces that people can go as they struggle emotionally, relationally, what have you, to get that kind of talk therapy and other types of therapeutic skills in kind of managing emotions and relationships. But then there is a whole biology piece that I don't know is getting enough attention. The body needs that cellular support in order to then, let's say somebody like these clients that you see, Jen, I would say 100% of the time they have very congested livers because of all of the excitatory hormones that are constantly excreted due to the trauma situations they're in. And the liver has to deal with that. The liver has to deal with that raised cortisol and that high blood sugar, the dipping blood sugar, because food's not readily accessible. And what is accessible is dead food. So, the biology piece is super important in coming around a person to help them experience true holistic health so that they can be released into a future that really is untethered. So.
Excellent. Very nice. We have Tracy. You want to elaborate on Tracy, what you were mentioning and the cohesion with everyone?
Yeah, it really is. It is remarkable, the whole panel, how it's also interconnected, and it really holds a person's story so well. I love the story of Jen, of the horticulture piece and growing the basil, and then gifting her a skill set to appreciate the beauty of then turning that into something delicious to eat that's whole food and nutritious and brings, I don't know if she did that maybe with her son, I would think so. So now you have this beautiful relational piece. I mean, food has so much power in it. It is, aside from sex, it's the most intimate thing we do with other people. We sit down and, if somebody's really passionate about cooking, I could spend days preparing, literally days preparing for holiday, marinating and thinking about the sides that complement the main course. And then when I prepare it and I set it in front of the people whom I love and watch them enjoy it, it brings so much joy to me. And not only do they enjoy it, but I know that for the most part, everything I prepare is incredibly nutritious. So I'm supporting their bodies as well. So the power in educating and inspiring people to let go of dead food, to let go of this idea that calories is simply just pouring gasoline in the car so it can go. Food for us is so much more than that. When you observe the animal kingdom, you don't see them eating outside of what is designed for them to consume in order to thrive. You don't see a fish flopping out of the water to go find a walnut. Like, you're just not going to see that. But we have access to everything. And we just have ways of allowing our lives to squeeze us so tightly that we go kind of off design. And when we go off design we trade one lie for another lie, like, oh, I'm too busy to cook. Let me just go through the drive-through. And perhaps that's true, but instead of kind of defaulting to what was easier in that moment, maybe kind of pausing to assess your life to say, is there other areas I need to take a look at to yield more time to get healthy food on the table? And the reason that's important is it really undergirds all of the work that everybody on this panel does. Because if somebody is in the care of George and is looking to make that humongous transfer, which is such a gigantic life milestone, very, very hard, I would imagine. And they're also on the standard American diet, perhaps they're obese and they're immobile and they're not able to kind of move about the house they want the way that they would like in order to gather their belongings the way that they would like, or they're sleepless because of their diet and lifestyle, and they've been up all night, and so they're irritable with this caring transition staff when they show up to do their work. I mean, I could go on for days with examples, but I know that you all get the point. It's just everybody's work on this panel is so interwoven and interconnected with the other. And it really just kind of highlights the bigger picture of everything we do matters. And it matters not, our choices don't matter just for us. It matters for those that we intersect with in our lives. Our food choices aren't happening in a silo. Our exercise and movement choices aren't happening in a silo. Our refusal to go to bed and put the technology down isn't happening in a silo. It ripples out into every aspect of our lives. And if we are going to do the really brave work of stemming the tide of generational trauma, like Jen is doing, we've got to get more serious and intentional about valuing and honoring this physical container that moves the soul about the world. So, we can do that soul work, which is the most holy, precious work in my view. But if we don't also store the body, then the ministry of that person's life is crippled because they're chronically inflamed, always feeling ill, very irritable, toxic on the inside. And then when disease presents itself, the way that the body, that's just the way the body operates. If we're out of its design, it will dis-ease. Then it only kind of brings to the surface all of those yucky emotions and experiences that are kind of, ping-ponging around in the body, because we've no bandwidth, we have no physiological bandwidth to handle the emotional stress that life will inevitably bring every single person. So it's a continuum, it's a continuum. There's never going to be one practitioner that will take one broken person and put them all back together. Like what's the egg that fell off the wall? There's not one person, it's a team. This is what being a human being is all about, is looking around you for love. And love shows up with, let me help you manage your finances better so that burden of financial stress can be lifted. Let me help you transition and organize your belongings in a respectful way. Let me help move that fascia so the things that are trapped in your body can actually finally exit and leave the body. Let me bring you into a space that is safe, truly safe. And so you say it's magical. What you mean is you feel love. That's what you feel in that space. It's the energy of love. It's so not magic. It's so love. And this is why we're all here in the first place, is to love others and to receive love. And that is impeded when we don't live with our design. So that's the last.
2 minutes or less. What is your one thing that you want people to take away from your presentation here today?
2 minutes or less would be maybe do an honest assessment of the way that you are living, and be gentle with yourself, but at the same time be brave enough to self-confront and ask yourself this question: after I've taken a good, honest, hard survey of my lifestyle, what's the one thing? I'm not asking for 10 or 15. What's the one lifestyle choice that is your lowest piece of hanging fruit that you can act on, improve upon, and feel the win, and maybe then start to build some momentum towards a healthier way of being?
Excellent.